Hello and welcome to Donington Park for rounds 5 and 6 of the Marangoni Gas Shocks Compact Cup. In its first season with championship status, the series has attracted an awful lot of interest, and some new drivers have experienced success as well. So Neil Trotter here in the Marangoni Gas Shocks Compact Cup. You've had a pretty good solid start to the season, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been quite a surprise really. Didn't expect it at all coming from stock hatch, and I just thought I'd build this car just to have a little try and see what it was like, and it's sort of gone a bit better than expected really.
You've had some good solid finishes up inside the top 10, certainly at Snetterton last time out.
Yeah, that was a surprise as well, because I'd never been to Snetterton, so it was a bit of a shock really to get from 26 on the grid to 8th. Was quite a good thing, I think.
You said you'd thrown this car together yourself. Have you done all the work on your own?
Yeah, most of the work myself. A friend of mine owns a place that sets up cars, so he's helped me quite a lot. Without them, the car wouldn't handle like it does. I mean, straight out the box, it's handled like it's on rails, so you know, it's been really good.
And are these cars relatively easy to work on for anyone that's possibly new and looking to get into motorsport?
Yeah, I think the package Paul supplies with all the suspension and everything, everyone's got the same, so you're not competing against people with loads of money who can spend a lot of money on other parts, you know, like suspension and everything else. So it is really good package.
Alex Dew is with me, looking forward to the third meeting of the season for the Compact Cup at Donington Park. Is it a circuit that you're looking forward to, Alex?
Yeah, very much so. We've not done the GP loop before, racing-wise, but I've done the national, God knows how many times. So it'd be very exciting. Having a longer circuit sometimes produces some very tight racing all the way through. Gives you a bit more time, but yeah, I think it'll be, especially with the weather as it is today, I think it'll be a really good meeting.
And with the 2 extra hairpins on this layout, do you think that's going to mean some more overtaking opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, Donington's it's quite renowned for its very heavy braking in certain areas, especially down Craners and obviously at the loop we've got. So tyre management will be a little bit of a thing that will be going on in people's minds, but at the same time it will leave the doors open for overtaking. Yeah. How late you can go, I don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out.
So here's the grid for round 5. David Drinkwater and Stuart Voice on the front row, Martin Gambling and Steve Roberts on the second row. Further back, good qualifying performances by Simon Roach. He's had a best result of 12th so far this season and lines up 7th. Colin Bysouth, the star at Brands Hatch, well, he is only 13th on the grid. Sean Stafford Atkinson lines up 18th. Further back still, Steve Robinson, a director of the 750 Motor Club, is 23rd on the grid. And in all, we are going to have 38 starters. Another big field here for the Marangoni Gas Shocks Compact Cup. You're going to have to watch out for Steve Roberts. He's been a double race winner so far this season from the outside of the second row, and he gets away well. Martin Gambling in the silver car, number 99, on the left-hand side of your shot, did not make such a good start. He drops back down the order a little bit, but it looks like Stuart Voice on the outside of the front row. Has he made a slightly better start than David Drinkwater? No, he hasn't. And it's the yellow car of David Drinkwater that gets turned into Redgate Corner first. Now it's a big field of cars to try and negotiate their way through Redgate Corner safely. 1 or 2 of them running out a little bit wide, but I think no real dramas there as they head now down Craner curves for the first time. It's a 13-minute plus 1 lap race, so I think they'll get something like 8 laps out of this. The field turning their way through the old hairpin for the first time then. As Alex Dew was saying, we're on the full Grand Prix circuit here at Donington Park this weekend, and you can see that illustrated with David Drinkwater now, who loses the lead because Stuart Voice at Schwantz Curve goes around the outside of him at the left-hander. Then it's the right-hander from McLean's that's next up. And Stuart Voice, who's been a 3-time race winner so far this season and leads the championship, he takes the lead of the race. And now Steve Roberts gets up in front as well. He's dived past 2 cars under braking for Coppice, and the number 56 car takes the lead. Well, it's Roberts that's been playing catch-up to Voice in the championship coming into this weekend, but Roberts now out front. Down to second place has gone Drinkwater, Voice has gone down to third, and he's under attack from Martin Gambling as well. And it looks like the number 99 car of the former low-cost racer has gone through into third position at Fogarty. This field streams down the Dunlop Straight. Now it's down to the Melbourne Loop. And at the Melbourne hairpin, it's Steve Roberts that leads. David Drinkwater in second place in car number 67. He lies 12th in the championship coming into this weekend, but drama there further back, and that was Colin Bysouth being very late on the brakes, and he's collected Farad Dava there. Both of them delayed, and quite some damage it seems on the front of Farad Dava's car. Meanwhile, for the lead of the race, it is still Steve Roberts, but only by less than a car length over David Drinkwater. Along the Wheatcroft Straight they will come for the second time. Drinkwater going to be close enough to make a move, and there going through is the number 50 car as well. That's Gregory Barlow up at Goddard. So there's Neil Trotter, you can see him in the middle of the shot there, car number 12, the green and white car. He's under pressure now from the red car number 29 of Alan Kirkcaldy, who goes through on the inside. And the Scottish driver, who swept all before him in the Scottish version of the Compact Cup this season, he makes up a place at Old Hairpin. Meanwhile, for second and third it's David Drinkwater and Martin Gambling side by side through McLean's. Out of the corner they go. Oh, and problems for David Drinkwater. All of a sudden he slows. I think something has broken on the car, and he pulls off to the right hand side of the circuit, and that's allowed Martin Gambling and Stuart Voice to move up into second and third positions. But yes, it's game over as far as David Drinkwater is concerned. He parks his car up out of harm's way. This is the onboard view with Martin Gambling up at McLean's. Ooh, now was there a slight touch there? Has that caused something to break on David Drinkwater's car? I think it may have done. Gambling waving apologetically. It was only the lightest of touches, certainly no malicious intent there from any driver. There's Stuart Voice, so he has gone through to second. Martin Gambling is in third place. And there's Kirkcaldy, and Simon Roach just nerfed out a little bit wide there at Goddard's, and that's allowed Neil Trotter to go through and make up a position. It's frenetic battling up inside the top 10 and indeed all of the way down the field. There's Alex Dew's car just coming through the front of shot there, and then it's a gap back to Kirkcaldy and Trotter, and now Simon Roach is in danger of losing another position as well, because that's Kevin Denwood queuing up behind him. Warren Gazzard is there as well in the Gas Shocks car. Through Craner curves they go, and it's going to be side by side this time between Simon Roach and Kevin Denwood. Roach prevails at the moment, the young driver, who has not had the best of finishing records so far this season. Had a best result of 12th place at Brands Hatch. There's number 40, Warren Gazzard from Basildon. It's a great dice, the best battle of the race just at the moment, I think this. Neil Trotter, having got through, has now made a little bit of a break from these cars, but it's a 4-car battle here for 7th position at the moment. James Cook in car number 20, the red car at the back of the group, is also involved. His best finish this season, 13th at Brands Hatch, 15th in the championship coming into this weekend. There's car 23, which is Andrew Cunningham, just behind him in number 98, Derek Forrest, two of the drivers that started towards the back of the grid here at Donington Park this weekend. They're enjoying their racing, no doubt. Now here's Kevin Denwood down the inside of Simon Roach, and he makes a place up. Now Roach here, having been left out to dry on the outside of Melbourne Hairpin, needs to be careful not to lose another place. This can so easily happen here. Another driver trying to make up some ground there in the Marangoni entered car. That's number 30, which is Greg Graham. So on to the Wheatcroft Straight once more. You can see Kirkcaldy's red car just in the front of shot. Then it's Trotter, then it's Denwood. Roach did hold on to that position. So I think he is in 8th place at the moment. It's a problem there for number 5, Sian Stafford Atkinson. She's had a moment. And also spinning up there at Goddard Hairpin is number 37, which is Jim Carolan, the driver from Huntingdon. Denwood against Roach. So Roach trying to come back in car 65, the Worcester driver. Has his work cut out. Just behind, Warren Gazzard takes a little bit of the grass at the Old Hairpin. Now under Starkey's Bridge, up towards Schwantzkirch they go. Again, Neil Trotter in 6th position is making a little bit of a break. It's still Steve Roberts that's leading. Stuart Voice 2nd and Martin Gambling 3rd, by the way. But the real action is further back down the order. Climbing the hill towards Coppice. It's a double apex right-hander this. There's the first apex. And in a moment they'll get to the second one. There it is. Now, and just in the inset there, we can see that Steve Robinson He looks like he's experienced a blow up there, unfortunately, on that BMW 318 Ti. Steve Robinson, making a guest appearance this weekend, is out of the race. Here's Stuart Voice, car number 21, in second position, and really he's not been able to do anything about Steve Roberts so far in this race. Steve Roberts in that number 56 car, looking very good indeed, but down the inside here goes Warren Gazzard. He makes up a couple of places, and it's side by side again on the exit, 3 abreast. Kevin Denwood on the right hand side of your picture, Simon Roach on the inside, and in the middle it's Warren Gazzard. Through goes Neil Trotter. It's Denwood that emerges for the moment in 7th position. I'm sure that will change again. Roach in 8th, 9th is Gazzard, and still 10th is James Cook. And they swarm their way over the start and finish line to start another lap of this 2.5 mile Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Into Redgate corner. Roach now back at the head of that group. It can change so quickly. These 318 Ti's, they're not the most powerful cars in the world, and that means the racing is very close indeed. You can make use of a tow down the straights. I think that's what Simon Roach may well have done there. Gazzard going through shot. Looks like Tim Gibson and Chris Etheridge are the next couple of cars involved in a battle. Tim Gibson in 52, 33 is Chris Etheridge. The rest of the field streaming their way through Craner curves, a very rewarding part of this Donington Park circuit to drive and through the old hairpin. And that's 22 Mark Bennett, you can see, from Romford. He's a bit further back down the order, but nevertheless enjoying his race weekend as a driver into the pit lane. It's number 47, Owen Hunter. Well, his run of non-finishes looks set to continue, I'm afraid. Very nicely turned out car for number 95, which is Dean Blackburn, but he's losing places. Has he got a problem? Oh yes, the car just juddering and shuddering a little bit as he climbs up towards Coppice. Don't know whether he's possibly trying to find a gear. Gazzard now under pressure from Cook, and has just up the road. It's side by side once again for 7th place between Roach and Denwood. Now braking manoeuvre being made here, and one car getting sideways. The car that gets sideways is number 60, and that's Terry Davis. But you can see there's 5 cars there, all having a battle. It's just outside the top 10, in fact about for 16th position. Having a great old scrap. Matthew Warren I could see in there. Daniel Kirby as well. Into Redgate they go. Roach this time loses out to Denwood, who's on the inside line. Roach runs wide, but not too wide. Didn't get all forwards. Oh, someone else did a little bit further back down the order. So I'm sure the observer at the marshal's post will have made a note of his number, called it into race control. Driving standards extremely closely policed in this Marangoni Gas Shocks Compact Cup. Encourages a better standard of driving. All the drivers can trust one another a little bit more. That's not to say there won't be incidents, and here's an incident now. It's someone that's spun into the gravel. We'll wait for the dust to settle to see who it is. It looks like that is the 30 car of Greg Graham. I think the other car that's already in the gravel may well have been Scott Carruthers, possibly, in the number 10 car. Yes, the 2 Marangoni entered cars, I'm afraid, have come to grief in very close proximity down at Old Hairpin. So in front of shot here is Neil Trotter, the driver who raced an MG ZR in stock hatch, rather than the dominant Citroen Saxo. It didn't really work out for him, but it was nice to see a different car out there. It's gone very well switching to the Compact Cup this season. Down to the hairpin they go now. Here you can see that Warren Gazzard has still got James Cook behind him, but the next 2 cars seem to have closed in a little bit as well, and Colin Bysouth, number 11, is amongst those. He was the driver that was very late on the brakes, if he was on the brakes at all, going into the Melbourne hairpin for the first time. Unfortunately took out poor Farad Dava, and indeed you can see that Colin Bysouth is being shown the driving standards flag. That black and white half flag indicates to a driver that his behaviour on the course is being watched. That could be for going 4 wheels off, or it could be for contact or repeated spins or something like that. Colin Bysouth just needs to watch his step a little bit now. Denwood coming through in car 55 then, and from Chelmsford, just ahead of Simon Roach, but this pack of cars behind Warren Gazzard is increasing. Yellow flag and the slippery surface flag, the yellow and red striped flag there. And that could be because there's some fluid on the circuit. You can see the snatch vehicle in the gravel trap doing its best to recover. I think that was the Scott Carruthers car. So under those yellow flags, drivers should not be overtaking. Number 68, Freddie Tatham, has gone off, I'm afraid. Well, that's a big shame for Freddie, who lined up 26th on the grid. That very nicely turned out red car. Looks like he's out of the race. Coming into the closing stages now, onto the last lap indeed. And still this scrap is the one that's to be decided. Neil Trotter there in 6th position with Kevin Denwood and Simon Roach very closely behind him. They're almost side by side for 7th and 8th as they head down to Fogarty for the final time, but the inside line being held by Kevin Denwood, and I think he's going to be able to hold on. Meanwhile, out of Goddard for the final time comes number 56, Steve Roberts. And we've not seen much of him in this race because it's been very easy for him. Up to the checkered flag he goes, a flash of the lights, and delight and jubilation for Steve Roberts, who wins round 5 of the Marangoni Gas Shocks Compact Cup. Coming through in 2nd place is Stuart Voice, about 8 seconds behind. And Martin Gambling it is that completes the top 3. Still this battle for 7th place going on. It looks like Kevin Denwood is going to get it sewn up, I think. They go out of the final corner, and yes, he is. Neil Trotter in 6th place flashes the lights. 7th is Denwood, and 8th, but only just behind, is Simon Roach. And there's that stricken Graham car. Now, I'm not sure if that's another spin that he's had, but he's out of the race anyway. So let's take a look at the results then for round 5 of the Marangoni Gas Shocks Compact Cup, and it's Steve Roberts that took the win by more than 8 seconds. In 2nd place, Stuart Voice. 3rd, Martin Gambling, and 4th was Alex Dew. Alan Kirkcaldy, the Scottish visitor, was 5th, ahead of Neil Trotter. But Colin Bysouth, well, he was penalised 5 seconds for his part in that incident with Ferrard Dava, and the fastest lap, well, that went to the race winner, Steve Roberts. Steve Roberts must be very pleased to have had such a clear-cut win in that race in the end.
Yeah, the qualifying pace didn't represent what we had. I mean, we knew, like, we came testing here a week prior, we knew we had good pace, and we were massively disappointed after quali. But yeah, I was determined to get in the front quickly, stay out of trouble, so I knew first lap I wanted to be first going over the line. That's what we did, and just got my head down. And
how did you get into the front from 4th on the grid?
I got a good start, not quite as good as last year where I went from 4th to 1st, but I slotted into 3rd, and then Voicey and Drinkwater were busy fighting amongst themselves, and I just hung back, got a good run out of McLean's, got over on the inside. We were 3 abreast, so there's a bit of rubbing, but nothing too drastic, and I was on the inside, so I had the corner then, and then clear track, got my head down, and pulled away.
Brilliant. Stuart Voice, 2nd position this time. Steve seemed to have the legs on you.
No, not really. Well, the car didn't feel the same as what it did at the start of the day, but it just got into the lead, and then I ran in like normal, and then all of a sudden just felt like the tyres were like cold, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it was good.
Absolutely. There's a hectic first few laps of the race. Seemed to be a problem for David up at McLean's.
Not really. Just having to just try and get your head down as much as you can, but just when you can't, and that's it. It's not when the car's not handling right, and then that's it. You can't.
Yeah, and is that why Martin was able to close in a little bit towards the end of the race, do you think?
Yeah, and obviously, because obviously you think to yourself, right, I'll push for the lead, and then you do some silly mistakes, and then I had a chat with myself about halfway through and said, come on, let's pull it back together, which I did, and it come in at the end, but thanks to all my sponsors for this year, that'd be great, thanks. Okay. So, Martin, 3rd position, tell us about your race.
Well, it was really eventful actually. Started 3rd, had the most horrendous start, but got most of the places back on that first lap, really good lap. I'm just so delighted to be in 3rd place. I've first podium since getting into the Compact Cup from low cost, and I'm delighted. Absolutely, and you were closing, and I think, on Stuart towards the last 2 or 3 laps of that race as well. Yeah, I must admit, it was hard going, but I was catching him. On the last lap, though, I thought, I'm going to settle for 3rd today and get that podium and hope for more in the next race.
Doug Bentley's with me from Clarius. Doug, tell us about the involvement of Clarius in the Compact Cup.
Oh, it's been fantastic. We've been involved in the Compact Cup for the last 3 years since day one. We got involved for sponsorship reasons, and of course we've designed the exhaust system, so it's been really good for us.
Okay, so is this a bespoke exhaust system for these cars?
Yeah, well, of course, because our road exhaust systems have to meet noise legislation and be tuned for fuel economy and things like that. But for race environments, it's completely different. Noise isn't so much of a consideration, but performance is. So we really tuned the system to give maximum power output in association with Superchips, who did the engine remap. And of course, wanted to be green and environmentally friendly, so it's got a race cat in there as well.
Absolutely, and to be involved with a championship that's really taken off so well, so competitive, nearly 40 cars on the grid this weekend at Donington, that must be really good for you.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's great to be associated with these racing environments. Of course, we've done a lot of other race championships around the UK and Europe, but the BMW one has to be a favourite of mine.
So the cars coming out onto the grid for the second Marangoni Gasshocks Compact Cup race of the weekend. The grid for this one determined by the results of the earlier race. So Stephen Roberts, Stuart Voice, Martin Gambling and Alex Dew filling the first 4 places on the grid. Good to see there Farad Dava back out after the damage he picked up in the first race, but he will start from the very back of the grid, 38th position. So the green flag waves at the back of the field, and a very full grid of BMW 318 Ti's. They watch the lights now, the red lights are on, they go out. We're off and running for the second 13-minute plus 1 lap race of the weekend. On board we go with Farad Dava, who's got a lot of overtaking to do. He had a good qualifying session this morning, but his first race was short-lived. He'll be keen to make up a lot of places here as the field streams down towards Coppice Corner for the first, to Redgate Corner I should say, for the first time. Here we go, on board with Simon Roach, who's a little bit of bumping and boring over the grass there maybe. He passes Neil Trotter. Does Neil Trotter have a problem? He seemed very slow out of that corner. Board with Farad Dava as we go down through Hollywood and Craner curves now, making up places all the time. I think that's Scott Carruthers in the number 10 car. He is getting past there as they head down to the old hairpin, the right-hander, not really a hairpin of course, then up this short straight towards the sweeping left-hander at Starkey's Bridge, then it's Schwantz curve. The leaders though already put McLean's corner, and it's Steve Roberts that did get the best start from pole position to lead this race. Stuart Voice in second place as they turn their way up to Coppice Corner now. Martin Gambling looks to be third, Alan Coddy is fourth. He had a very strong first race. Alex Dew I think has dropped back a couple of positions, and a moment there for Stuart Voice, and he's down to third. Is he going to lose more places as well? He might well do. As he gets back up to speed, he's down to fourth place there, because through goes Kirkcaldy, and now Kevin Denwood is going to have a look to get up on the inside as well, and does so. So Denwood goes fourth, and with a mistake there up at Coppice Corner, Stuart Voice goes down to fifth position. So Roberts it is that all of a sudden has quite a healthy advantage on this first lap of the race. Martin Gambling in that number 99 car in second, Kirkcaldy third. Stuart Voice already trying to retrieve that position from Kevin Denwood. They were side by side through the Melbourne hairpin. There's nearly 40 cars to stream through here. It's inevitably going to get a little bit congested from time to time. There goes the 22 car of Mark Bennett at the head of that little group as Stuart Voice does outbrake Kevin Denwood there at Goddard to get through to fourth position. So that's one place he's claimed back. If he's going to get into the lead of the race, well, he's going to have to pass another 3 cars. Number 50 is Greg Graham. Oh, and someone pushed out a little bit wide there, and 2 cars spinning towards the barriers on the exit of the Goddard hairpin. 3 cars, in fact, couldn't see all of them there. One of them is still facing backwards. The other 2 are back in the right direction, heading off up the Wheatcroft Straight, having lost some time, lost some places, but no real damage done. Inevitably, that kind of thing is going to happen from time to time in such a closely fought championship as this. You can see in the background there, it's the number 27 car that got spun around. That's Stephen Biddulph, the man at his local circuit. He's only from up the road in Nottingham, so he'll be a bit disappointed. No doubt he's got 1 or 2 friends and family here to watch him this weekend, and he's not been able to put on the best of shows for them. Into the pits comes Neil Trotter, car number 12. That's really disappointing for Neil. We heard from him at the top of the programme. 5th in the championship coming into this weekend, and he's been really pleased with some top 6 finishes, but he's not going to get one here. Not a disaster as far as his championship is concerned, because drivers at the end of the year will drop their 2 lowest point scoring rounds. He'll be hoping that this is one of them. Simon Roach is our driver then. as we head up towards Coppice Corner, I think this is. He's losing out a little bit there. They make their way now down onto the Dunlop Straight, past the exhibition centre. It looks like Warren Gazzard in the number 40 car it is that has made it up ahead. James Cook then is the next car through in car 20. And I think it's Chris Etheridge, number 33, that's the black car next through. And then coming through shot, you've got the likes of Daniel Kirby. Next car's through. Oh dear. Another retirement for Owen Hunter. It's really not going well for the Saxmax champion this season. A real shame for him. On board again with Farad Dava, who's carving his way through the field. He's got a little bit of clear space in front of him at the moment though. We're trying to close that gap just as fast as he can, no doubt. Down to the Melbourne hairpin he goes. Someone out braking themselves. That's Warren Gazzard, and James Cook as well, locking up a little bit, I think, as he turns his way through Goddard that time. And onto the Wheatcroft Straight once more. It's 2.5 mile Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Be a new challenge for, I think, the majority of the drivers racing here at Donington Park this weekend. So Gazzard, Roach and Cook in this particular battle. Some smoke, screech of tyres, and it's the number 72 car, Stuart Place, the Norwich driver, that's had a moment down at Melbourne. He gets going again though. I think he did that one all on his own. It's Kevin Denwood just ahead of Alex Dew for the moment, and that's for 5th position. So Denwood, who finished 7th early on, having a good race here. Oh dear. Stuart Place, no doubt trying to get back on the pace, a little bit frustrated, has another spin. On board with Farad Dava now, car number 13 for the driver Salisbury, and he's trying to get ahead of number 60 here, which is Terry Davis, and they draw alongside one another, and Farad is able to go through. Just a quick look across to the left hand side, just to glance in his mirrors to see where Terry is, to make sure he's completed that move safely. Well, here's this battle for 6th, 7th and 8th positions then. And Simon Roach now emerges in front of that. Warren Gazzard getting the Melbourne hairpin a little bit wrong there. Ooh, and a spin. Well, it's Stephen Biddulph again. He had that incident down at Goddard where he got caught up in a bit of a tangle. That one all on his own. But he's able to get going again. They've lost quite a bit of time with those two incidents though. Here comes Steve Roberts in the lead of the race, and how big's his lead? Well, you can see there it's already 2 or 3 seconds over Martin Gambling in 2nd place, but Stuart Voice is the man to watch, still in 3rd position and closing in now on the 2nd place man. That's Coddy, he goes through in 4th place, and Denwood and Dew 5th and 6th. Dew in his slipstream as we look back to see what Farad Dava's getting up to. Is now up with the number 61 car, which is Matthew Warren. Turning their way out of the hairpin onto the start and finish straight, past the grandstands, past the pit lane buildings, and down towards Redgate Corner. Farad getting his car on the inside line for the right-hander at Redgate Corner that starts the lap. Is he able to make it through? I think he will be able to. Farad having a really good drive here, probably quite enjoying it, but I'm sure he'd have enjoyed being up at the sharp end even more. He did, after all, qualify 5th on the grid today for the first race. Well, Stuart Voice really pushing on here. He's back on terms with number 99 Martin Gambling now. Next mission is to try and find a way through. Martin won't make it easy for him though. Martin very pleased to be on the podium for the first time in the earlier race. He'd love to go one better here and get 2nd position, but Stuart Voice gets a good run out of Coppice Corner. The 2 cars alongside one another as they go over the crest on the Dunlop Straight, and Voice has his nose in front, but Gambling does have the inside line. Well, he did have the inside line for Fogarty, but tucks back in behind Stuart Voice and goes back down to 3rd place. Well, another driver has managed to find the gravel trap right in the middle of it there. Just trying to work out who that might be who has gone off. If it could be Strata Mackay, not completely sure on that though, as Voice still has Gambling climbing all over the back of him. Is Gambling going to be able to make some kind of retaliation as Steve Roberts once again goes through in the lead of this race? He's pulled out a bit more of a gap because Voice and the number 99 car of Gambling have just fallen over one another a little bit there and delayed each other. They go on to their final lap now. Here comes Kirkcaldy in 4th place. Looks like Alex Dew has made it ahead of Kevin Denwood. No, it's not. It's still Denwood ahead of Dew, I beg your pardon, for 5th position. Coming through in 7th place on his own now is Simon Roach. Then it's Warren Gazzard and James Cook battling over 8th and 9th places. Someone running wide there on the exit of Goddard. Struggle to see the last lap board from all the way over there. That's Colin Bysouth then, who was penalised, of course, in the earlier race for his indiscretion on the opening lap. That's effectively cost him some places on the grid for this one as well. It was a 5-second penalty added to his race time. Oh, and disappointment right at the end of the race for number 4, Clint Bardwell, the former Mazda racer. Well, his car has just come to a halt coming out of Goddard there. Off come the safety belts, the door is open, and that looks like a mechanical issue for Clint Bardwell to me, I'm afraid, which is unusual because the cars in this Marangoni Gasrocks Compact Cup are normally pretty reliable. Clint resigned to the fact that he's very much out of the race. So there's Kirkcaldy, and this is the battle that's still really to be decided for 5th and 6th positions. It's between Denwood and Dew. It's going to go right down to the checkered flag, I think, this one. Making their way into Fogarty. Roach there in 7th. Oh, in a moment. Oh, dear. It's Stewart place again. That's at least 3 spins that we've seen for Stewart during the course of this race. And he gets on to start his final lap, as coming out of Goddard for the final time comes Steve Roberts, car number 56, and he's the first winner in a sort of single double header round. We had 3 races at Brands Hatch, of which Stuart Voice won 2, but just 2 races here. Steve Roberts has won both of them. Stuart Voice 2nd, and Martin Gambling in 3rd position. Just looking back, and it is Denwood that holds on to 5th place from Alex Dew, the former Stock Hatch and Clio racer, in 6th position. 7th is Simon Roach, 8th is Gazzard, 9th is Cook, and over the line in 10th place comes the number 33 car of Chris Etheridge. Where is Farad Darver going to return home? Up to the line he comes, over the line now, and yes, he comes through in 14th position, which, considering he started 38th, not bad. So let's take a look at the results then of what was a 7-lap race for the Marangoni Gasrocks Compact Cup. The winner, Steve Roberts, not quite such a big win this time, 3.2 seconds over Stuart Voice. Martin Gambling 3rd, the Scottish visitor Alan Kirkcaldy 4th, with Kevin Denwood getting the better of Alex Dew in a great scrap for 5th position. Roach, Gazzard, Cook and Etheridge completed the top 10. The fastest lap as he tried to get back on terms with Roberts was Stuart Voice, a 1:58.87. Okay, Steve, you've scored the first double victory of the season. You must be really happy with that.
Yeah, over the moon. Glad to get that second win under my belt, because we've won the first one back at Snet and it all went wrong in the final 800s of the lap. So yeah, really pleased to get the second win. And
it was from lights to flag really this time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we've made big change in the car since Snetterton. I've got to thank the sponsors, AW Track Sport and BMW Specialist.co.uk, Judd Energy, PRG Trailers. They've all done a great job getting us here, and without them we couldn't be here, so yeah, much appreciated.
And I guess that must put you into the lead of the championship now, I think, with 2 victories over Stuart today?
Yeah, just. I think Stuart just pipped me to the fastest lap then, which is a little bit disappointing, because I was pushing, don't get me wrong, but I got a little bit extra, so shame we have never had a single off the pits just to get that fastest lap, because every point matters. But yeah, we've got the lead now, so that's the main thing. Well, here's confirmation of that lead in the championship for Steve Roberts, but only by 1 point over Stuart Voice. Colin Bysouth, despite being out of the top 10 this weekend, he remains 3rd. Alex Dew moves up into 4th position from 6th. Martin Gambling moves up into 5th from 13th. And Chris Etheridge, consistent results for him, yielding him 6th in the standings. Well, that's all we've got time for from Donington Park. I do hope you'll join us again very soon for the next rounds of the championship, which are at Rockingham. But for now, from all of us here, it's goodbye.